get in my zone. Don't let me get in my zone. Don't let me get in my zone. I'm definitely in my zone.
Welcome, Grant Cardone. You're in the Cardone Zone. Every Thursday, 1 o'clock, I come to you to talk business, some money, your finances. What are you going to do, man? How are you going to get your money right? Look, there's so much bad news in the world, okay? It's unbelievable. And what I want to talk to you today about is how do you, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as the head of household, as the guy or gal taking care of your bone, you've been put in charge of taking care of the money, probably because nobody else wants to take care of the money because the space is so overwhelming with misinformation and bad information. For instance, I'm reading off a website right now, okay? This is what it says about the stock market. I can't figure this stuff out, so I don't know how I literally try to figure it out. It becomes so overwhelming and so confusing that I wanted to put a show together that could help people kind of sort out, hey, what's the truth here? I mean, what's the truth? What do you need to know? What's not so complicated? When is it bad news? When do you take advantage of it? For instance, I'm looking at one website right now. A place that I go to often is CNBC and read, okay? My TVs are all set for CNBC. I like the financial data there. I don't watch it. I watch it because I'm looking for a moment. I'm looking for something I can grab that might influence a decision I make with my money. I'm reading off their website right now. News you may like. Okay, now check it out. I wish I could show this on the screen right here. If you thought January was bad for stocks, wait for February. Oh, by the way, I'm the guy that's been telling you since October to stay out of the stock market. Any of you that listened to me in October of last year, stay out of the stock market. I saved you 33% of your losses. 33% of all the losses of last year have been wiped out this month. Mark Faber says, here's how much I want stocks to fall. These are headlines, okay? You guys with me? These are headlines from a money site, okay? Dave Tepper hits Twitter, not so fast, okay? Our market's headed for a perfect storm. Contrarian calls for a 20% drop in U.S. stocks this year. Why long-term investors should buy this sell-off. Now they're going to start giving you some positive stuff. Don't overreact here. And UBS chief warns of huge volatility as profit jumps. Now, I've talked often in the show about, look, man, it's difficult to figure out, okay? And let's face it. If it was easy, we probably wouldn't be interested in making money, okay? It's not easy. It's not easy figuring out what the reality is. Today, the former Fed chairman, Alan Greenspan, he's been around a long time, told CNBC on Friday he's worried about the spread between the 30-year Treasury and a 5-year Treasury note. Do you know what that means? The spread, the difference between, hey, if I get a 5-year loan, or if I get a 30-year loan, there's a big spread. The difference is called the spread. This is the measure. This spread is the measure. Now, stay with me. Don't check out. This spread is the measure of long-term, you sales guys out there that just want to sell and make money. Dude, look, you got to know what to do with your money. You have to figure out, entrepreneurs, what am I going to do with my money? Which means you got to understand this nomenclature so that if you're out there selling, pumping, you just started a business and you're making money. I know a lot of guys that make money and blow it all because they don't learn what do I do with it? How do I keep it? How do I make my key moves? The big hitters learn, they spend enough time to learn what all this means so they're not overwhelmed by it. The spread is the measure of the degree of long-term, very long-term lack of confidence. This is Alan Greenspan. Alan Greenspan's been around a long time. I don't know if he's a good guy or not, but he ran the Federal Reserve for a long time. The spread between the 5-year and the 30-year is at 218 basis points on Friday. It's a spread, right? It's a difference between 5-year borrowing and 30-year borrowing. This is the highest spread in the history of the United States. What's it telling you? It's telling you long-term, people don't want to give you money for long periods of time because they are concerned about what's going to happen. They're going to give you money for short periods of time. When we come back from break, I'm going to tell you how I'm taking advantage of that bad news right now with my money, how I'm making decisions on, do I buy a house? Do I rent? If I'm going to make investments, what do I do? Stay with me with Grant Cardone. On Twitter, I'm at Grant Cardone. Our phone number here is 305-865-5260.
The win, W-I-N, is critical to survival in life. The truth is, your money is in closing a deal.
So first and foremost, you have to understand that the close is truly for the customer. As a salesperson, your job isn't complete until your customer has taken delivery of your product or service. So if somebody comes to me and they have a need that my product can fulfill, it will be unethical for me not to insist that they do business with me today.
Closing to me is ensuring I provide a service to my client.
You don't actually provide a service to your customer until you close them.
What you need to know today about this marketplace, about your customer, is the close is everything today. How do I push through resistance? How do I push through the consumer's fear? How do I get them that close and then push them over the edge so we can truly be of service to people?
It is your duty, it's your obligation to ask people to do business with you. If you're not doing that, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunity.
Selling is one thing, closing a transaction is something completely different.
I wanted to basically be able to provide a product where I could coach people before, during, and after the sale. And the mobile is the only thing that allows me to do that, so that Grant Cardone is accessible to the professional salesperson that wants to become better. Close the Sale app guarantees to make you a master negotiator and closer because it handles every situation you will face. Close the Sale app is geared to all professional salespeople, all new salespeople, all veteran and highly experienced salespeople. The most unique feature about this app is the multitude of closes that are designed to fit different personalities and different situations. I am going to give you the words, the tools, and the exact strategy to take, and you're going to fit your personality in that situation, and you're going to close the deal. Hey, back here with Grant Cardone in the Cardone Zone. My phone number is 305-865-5260. On Twitter, I'm at Grant Cardone. Each week we write a strategy. I actually write a strategy each week about how to grow your business, blow up your business. You might want to check out that strategy emailed to you to your personal address. We do not sell that. We don't sell your names, your email. We protect that with great care. And if you want that, it's free. CardoneSuccess.com, CardoneSuccess.com, and I'll pop you out a newsletter every week about what I'm doing to grow my business. Now, what I'm talking about today is the news, the media. How do you read information off of websites? How do you go to CNBC and even watch a channel that is supposed to be delivering content for investors? How do you understand what it all means? Alan Greenspan said today that the spread between 5-year debt money is money you're borrowing. Now, again, I'm doing this so you can understand what it means, so you can either decide to play or not play, because I'm using this data right now to make decisions. The difference between 5-year money and 30-year money is the highest in the history of the United States of America. No other time has this spread. I want to borrow money from the bank 5 years, or I want to borrow the money from the bank 30 years. I'm borrowing money right now from the bank. Okay, now, I don't like debt, but I use debt when debt allows me to grow my business. And I'm trying to buy apartment buildings right now, more apartment buildings. By the way, I just found out from a friend of mine that Michael Dell's company, his investments, have a person doing exactly the same purchases I'm doing right now. Okay, I was told that from a buddy. Hey, I got a friend, works with Michael Dell. Michael Dell's a billionaire, and they're out buying C+, B-, and B+ properties around the country. Why? Because maybe they have access to some of this data. This 30-year loan, okay, it's about 5.5%. 5-year loan is a lot lower. How about this? A 30-day loan is 2.5%. Then it pops up to about 4.5%, and then it goes up from there. So I'm saying, okay, what money should I use right now? They're rewarding people to go very short periods of time, which says something's going to get negative. Now, what I want you to do, I use this little tool, okay, for figuring out, okay, what does this news mean to me? I'm not always right, but on the big things, I've been right more often than I've been wrong. First of all, you got to pay attention, okay? Number one, you got to pay attention. Number two, never, ever evaluate on one piece of data. Never. I have made this mistake so many times. Took one piece of data, made a decision, and then got busted. Never evaluate on one piece of data. The third thing is when you're confident, you got to pull the trigger and be willing to get crushed. Okay? You got to pull the trigger and be willing to be wrong. Pay attention first, and I'm asking you to do that by meeting with me every Tuesday, Thursday, man. I do so many crazy shows. I'm like, I'm losing my mind. Every Tuesday, 1 p.m., I'm going to come to you and talk about your finances. Can we play the clip with Mr. Greenspan, Mr. Wise, Mr. Wisdom?
And the second is a very unusual issue, which is the spread between the 30-year Treasury and the 5-year Treasury note. That is a measure of the degree of long-term, very long-term lack of confidence. And that spread is at the widest level in American history. That, to me, tells you a great deal. There's where the problem is. That's what's got to be solved.
All right. You see what I'm saying? Now, I bet most of you, while you were watching that, Cat, you were very interested in the beginning. And somewhere about 20 seconds, you're like, dude, I got no idea what this cat's talking about. I mean, nothing. Here's what he was saying. Over the long term, the stock market has been about a 7% return. And then he said there's this historical difference between the cost of money right now because he thinks bankers know something about something long term. Pay attention, okay? Use lots of data, not one piece of data. Pull it all together, and then figure out what does this mean to you and your money. For instance, right now, I'm not using 30-year debt right now, okay? I'm not using 5-year debt right now. I'm putting 30-day money on a deal right now because it's 2.32%. And I'm going to risk that the bad news keeps pressure on these short-term payments because the banks don't want to lend money long-term because they don't want to get caught. So what am I going to do? I'm going to be the contrarian here. I'm going to do the opposite of what everybody's doing, and I'm going to take some short-term money. Don't let that confuse you, okay? At some point, you're going to have to borrow money to expand your business. Stay with me. This is Grant Cardone, Cardone Zone. Stay on board.
Whatever you want, you got to commit all the way in and think in terms of domination, not a spectator. You don't want to be a spectator, folks. Spectators pay, players get paid. There's not a second, a third, a fourth, or a fifth. It's just first or nothing. Improvements in products comes from competition. But if you're the one playing the game, you want to dominate the field.
Your power base is your lifeblood. It's everyone that you know. And it starts very small. It starts in your immediate circle and branches out from there.
People underestimate this all the time. In this book, Grant tells you who your power base is, how you contact them, in what order, and exactly what you do.
Now, how do you do that in your business? Follow-up, emails, phone calls, persistence, personal visits. Dominate your buyer's thinking.
Look, so if you want to learn how to outwork the competition with effective strategies, gotta get If You're Not First, You're Last. Grant covers exact strategies on what you need to do so that you can actually push, advance, and dominate your marketplace.
Look, I'm a self-made guy. I came from Louisiana. I was greatly inspired by some losses in my life, and it really, somehow that ignited this fire, if you will, in me to do everything I can with the time that I do have. It was just a turnaround moment. It was that moment where I'm like, okay, you're either going to break and become nothing here, or you're going to turn this thing around and become something that even you can be proud of. And so for the last 30 years now, I've just been on a search to make myself the best I can be, create companies that attract great people, create possibilities for myself, my friends, and my family, and my community that I could be proud of. I really approach success as a duty now, not as an option, as a responsibility, and even an obligation to create success for myself.
Whatever you want, you got to commit all the way in and think in terms of domination, not a spectator. You don't want to be a spectator, folks. Spectators pay, players get paid. There's not a second, a third, a fourth, or a fifth. It's just first or nothing. When you're selling products and services, you have to know that your products and services are good, or you're going to quit selling them. There's two types of people. People that are going to get what they want and the life they want, and everybody else. Hey, what'd you do with that client today? Well, I informed him on the product. Oh, I did a great job. They like you? They love me. Did you close them? No. Then you didn't do anything for them. Look, if you want to get rich, you want to be really successful. When I say rich, I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about a rich life, freedom, time with family, choices. You must learn to dominate. The fact about sales is this: a sale is always made. You can't get away from this idea that you just have to sell more. The truth is, your money is in closing a deal.
Grant Cardone saved my business.
He's believable and he speaks from his heart, and it doesn't matter whether you're reading it or listening to his audio, you can just really, really feel him.
7 billion people on planet Earth. There's a small portion of them that want greatness. All the great wars that have been won, all the great ventures on this planet, full commitment, burn the ships, we're going ashore, no way out, let's roll.
Cardone, you're back here in the Cardone Zone. We're talking about how to take advantage of bad news. 1, pay attention. Number 2, never pay attention to one piece of data. Look, when there's a car wreck, there's an opportunity for somebody to get ahead. But most people don't. What do most people do? Pay attention to one piece of data. Oh my God, look at that. They're just paying attention to one thing rather than that one thing, all the other cars, the opening. How do I get out of here? See, that's the point. Bad news should be an opportunity for you. If you rubberneck, if you're not paying attention every time that you drive, because there's not going to be a wreck every time you drive, but you need to pay attention every time you get in the car, every time you drive. Pay attention to everything about everything. Number 2, don't get locked into one piece of data when things start crumbling and cratering. Debt is really important to this planet, okay, because so many people are committed to it now. For instance, I have an employee right now buying a car. Grant, what should I buy? I said, you should buy the best deal in the marketplace. Well, how do I get the best deal? First, find a car you love, or 2, or 3, or 4 cars you love. Then you find out what lender, pay attention. Never pay attention to one piece of data. Never fall in love with just one car. Okay? Find out what manufacturer, not what lender, what manufacturer is trying to push their product into the marketplace aggressively. Maybe they have 30 days, 60 days, 90 days where they have to hit a target or hit a number, and they're going to put programs in place, debt offerings, no money down, low interest rates, or maybe a really high residual. They're going to crank their residual up. Maybe Audi wants to win market share from Infiniti or vice versa, and they'll crank their residual to lower your payment, and you can take advantage. But what do you need to be doing every day? Paying attention. Never focus on one piece of data. This is such a huge mistake people make. They come in, they want the best price on a product, and then they end up making a payment they shouldn't make. You should never do that. I'm buying a deal right now, 204 units up in Wellington. Brand new product. It's literally the first families are moving into this property. It's in perfect condition. I'm overpaying for the property. I'm paying too much for the property. That's right. You know why? I don't get fixed on the price. I look at everything, the term, the payout, the opportunity. Can I get them to give me some other things? Can I get some really good debt? Is the rates really low? Maybe I'm all right paying a high price. See, but most people just won't look at it because of whatever. And this isn't typically something I would buy. But what am I doing? I'm looking. Now, here's a perfect example of taking advantage of bad news. Because this property, and you hear me talk a lot about real estate here because I think real estate is the single best investment any person anywhere can make with their earned money. This property has what's called a covenant restriction on it. A covenant restriction says that I have to stop raising rents at some level. It's basically an offering to people to live in this neighborhood, Wellington. Very expensive, wealthy white people that own horses. That's who lives there. Just west of West Palm Beach. So you know who I'm talking about. White people, tight faces. So they bring their horses there. 80% of all the horses in the country go to Wellington every year just to get away from the weather. Hey, there's money there. There's going to be money there, and there's always going to be money there. Because rich people are coming down, landing in Wellington for 3 or 4 months of the year, bringing their horses. They don't even stay. Their horses freaking stay there, okay? It's crazy. So there's going to be a service community around there, and that means renters. Well, this property, oh, man, what's Grant talking about today? Grant's getting serious. Normally, Grant's crazy. Grant's over the top. No, man, you need to pay attention. There's times to be crazy, and there's times to make your move. This property has a thing called a covenant restriction. The covenant restriction on this brand new property eliminated lots of big public companies with 100 times more money than I have. It kept them from looking at the property. It reduced the number of people that could actually buy it, even though they have more money than me. So this immediately hits my radar. I call real estate agents. Hey, man, anything that would keep the public companies from buying the product, I'll look at. Anything, any problems, any hair, any trouble. Like they don't like to buy, the big real estate companies don't like to buy wood frame. Okay, I'll look at it. They can't buy anything with rent restrictions. I'll look at it. Because of these rent restrictions, this property is probably going to sell for $80,000 per unit, less than it should. So I'm willing to pay a big price. And then I got to put all the other information together. Now, how are you going to learn this? Because you don't care what I'm doing. I'm not here to brag to you about what I'm doing. You probably don't care what I'm doing. I'm telling you, I'm giving you personal, real-life examples of how you can take advantage. First, you got to pay attention. You got to get learned up. You got to get educated. You got to read, man. You got to open up a newspaper. You got to learn words you don't understand, like this treasury, the spreads, basis points. What does it mean? How do you get a loan? What is something worth? If you're not going to pay attention to your money, I guarantee you, a guy like me will. I'm going to pay attention to the money that you should have. Or somebody else is going to pay attention to the money you're going to have. The marketplace is telling you it will reward people that pay attention, that look at all the data, that don't get rubbernecked by one accident, but look for openings, and that have the guts to pull the trigger. Every week I'm here, Grant Cardone at Grant Cardone, Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. Cardone Zone is the show. Money, finance, career is the topico. Look, man, I want to help you with your money, okay? Larry Kudlow wants to help you with your money. But I'm not some big budget show here. I'm trying to say group and grind and say, let's get this thing, man. You deserve it. You deserve to have what you want. When we come back from break, I'm going to tell you about a move I made this week on this exact topic. The name of the company's Twitter, tweet, took a freaking whacking last week. And what did Grant do? After months of telling you not to buy the stock market, I'm going to tell you, Grant bought him some Twitter. Stay with me, and stay with me.
Grant Cardone saved my business.
About 6 months ago, I found Grant Cardone on YouTube, and I instantly liked what he was saying. I wanted to know how to go out and get the sale. I wanted to know when I wanted money, how to turn the faucet on and get money. I call that money on tap, and Grant Cardone taught me how to get that stuff.
Whatever it takes, do what you gotta do, go get it, what you want in your business and in your life.
I need a new guru, somebody who's really up to date and modern, and that's when I found Grant Cardone, and that's when I found 10X.
Look, massive action.
What are you waiting for? You're either going to have more or you're going to have less. Make the decision, get committed, read the books, get to the seminars, take action.
If you're trying to build a massive brand, I think there's nobody better in the country than Grant Cardone.
Hey, Grant Cardone here, and by this time you've probably heard the news. Yeah, it's true. What you've heard is true. I definitely did go too far. My attorneys have told me to, kind of be careful about making this video, but I do want to take the time to apologize to you, to my fans. I especially want to apologize to my family, my two little daughters. I hope when they grow up they're able to understand this. Apologize to my wife. All of you that follow me on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, you guys that have supported me for years, I apologize. I know that I went too far. I know that I did too much. I take full responsibility for it. And while I regret it, okay, like the rants, okay, look, I knew I was getting carried away last year with the rants. We did 150 rants. Some of them were over the top. The 23,000 tweets, dude, it was a lot of tweets. It was crazy. Some of them were just way over the top. The Santa tweet, my staff took it down. It was so over the top. The Miley Cyrus tweets, the tweets to Obama and to the governor of California, okay? The Chris Christie tweets, the Sears tweet, the Macy's, the Pennies, the retail tweets, okay? It was insane, man. So while I regret offending anyone that follows me, dude, if that offended you, wait and see what I do this year. It's gonna be freaking over the top crazy, okay? It's gonna be arrest level crazy on Twitter. You gotta follow me on Twitter, because this year I promise you at least 30,000 tweets over the next 12 months that will inspire you, will motivate you, and will show you how to take you, your business, and your family to another level, baby. I'm taking Twitter to jail.
Hey, welcome back. Grant Cardone in the Cardone Zone. Phone number's 305-865-5260. 305-865-5260. Every Tuesday at 1 o'clock, I come to you to talk about your money, your finances, your career, what you can do, what you have to do, man, to bust out, break out. Otherwise, you're going to be left out. Oh, man, did that rhyme? That rhyme, man. My God. I'm talking about paying attention, taking advantage of bad news, okay? Look, you have to look at lots of pieces of data. Alan Greenspan is not going to get you a paycheck. Your ability to make decisions and have courage is going to get you a bigger paycheck and get you money. This week, Twitter got hammered, okay? You're like, wait a minute, you're talking about Alan Greenspan, you're talking about Twitter. What? I'm telling you about bad news. I'm giving you an example of how to take advantage of bad news. For months and months, probably 6 months now, I've been telling you, leave the stock market alone. Okay? This week, Twitter acknowledges that the company is having problems with messaging. I didn't even know this. I use Twitter a bunch. Messaging service is too hard to use. People are not engaging. In their fourth quarter financial results this past Wednesday, Twitter executives said that the service's challenging design cut the rate of new users' growth and prompted existing users to check their feed of messages less frequently. What happened? When they said that, the stock fell apart. Okay, it went from almost $70 down to $50. Like, boom, that quick. The unexpected slowdown of interaction amongst Twitter freakos. Shares fell as much as 20% in after-hours trading as investors digested the company's financial reports. We simply need to make a better Twitter. That's what the guy running the company said. Since its inception, Twitter is focused on the public sharing of textual messages, and its leaders have been reluctant to change its fundamental structure. Now, Grant, you're talking to me about bad news. What do I do when I get bad news? Pay attention. Never look at one piece of data like they reported. So what, man? So what? Fewer people interacted. 90% of the people on Twitter don't use it. So what? Look, 90% of the people on planet Earth don't read books. Doesn't mean you shouldn't go write one so the whole world knows you. I started buying Twitter stock yesterday, and I'm going to tell you why I bought it. 24 million people tweeted about the Super Bowl this past Sunday. Tweeted. I'm in a room of people watching the Super Bowl. There's got to be 25 people in this room watching in a guy's home, and everybody's got their little favorite thing to tweet. Did you see my tweet? Did you see? I'm like, dude, that ain't going away. You got people going to eyeballs. The other thing is Twitter's free. That means people can get on it in India, China, Russia, everywhere and watch it. Sooner or later, this company will figure out how to monetize Twitter. Oh, speaking of monetization, if you would take a moment to pay attention, you would find out that Twitter's income revenue in the fourth quarter was $243 million up. It was only up 116%. How about 7,000 shares, player? We got a caller on the phone, Ray Fasano from New York. What's up, brother?
Hey, Grant, how are you? It's a real treat to be able to speak to you. Just want to tell you, paying attention is so important, and it's something that's very important in my industry. I am an immigration lawyer. I have 4 offices in the New York metro area, but I have a nationwide practice. And I have to pay attention to bad news all the time, and I have to react to it in order to get clients to close with me. Everybody is really waiting and seeing what's going to be happening with immigration reform. One week you'll have Republicans saying they're for it. The next week they're saying they're against it. They're for it. It keeps going back and forth.
Well, hey, Ray, let me ask you something. Doesn't this country allow for more immigrants than all other countries combined?
Well, that might be true. I really don't care, as far as...
No, but I hear that you don't care, but I was just curious. I mean, I thought we let a lot of people come into this country.
We do and we don't, Grant. If people want to come in legally, they have long lines on which they have to wait because there's a visa cap.
Okay, I didn't know that.
There's, for instance, what's happening now is we have, like, for your skilled workers, your professionals, your engineers, your scientists, your computer programmers, your innovators, like an Einstein type of person. We only cap those visas at $65,000 a year. And once we reach that cap, no more of those individuals are permitted into the United States, and they got to wait till next year. What immigration reform wants to do is it's going to address these visa caps so that an individual will be able to legally immigrate into the United States. But here's the problem, and this is why we do need the reform, is that there seems to be no stem in illegal immigration. And I think everybody loses with illegal immigration. The government loses.
I got a couple of illegal immigrants right in the room with me right now. I know one of them.
I have a room full of illegal immigrants in my office right now. And what I do is I work to make them legal. I work within the laws that we have in the United States.
Let me ask you something. I got to ask, how does Ray, an immigration lawyer that's got illegal immigrants out in his lobby right now, how do you even run into Grant Cardone?
Well, thanks, Grant. I was in the airport catching a flight for a case that was out of town, and I saw Celebesol prominently displayed in the airport, Hudson News, somewhere in LaGuardia.
Okay, yeah, okay, all right.
I grabbed it to have something to read on the airplane, and I had absolutely no expectations. I read the jacket of the book, and I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make my mind go blank. I'm going to act like I'm a baby, and I'm just going to take all the information that Grant has in this book. It's the first sales book I've ever read, Grant.
Wow. Why did you pick it up? You like the red color or what?
I like the way it was. The marketing of it, the retail marketing of it was great. It was right at the edge of the Hudson newsstand.
Uh-huh.
The way they displayed it.
Ray. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Caught my eye.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we buy those locations in every airport in the country, and the only place that I will put a book is in the window.
It makes sense because it caught my eye, and I've never ever picked up any business book. I've never picked up a sales book. I know nothing about closings until I got your book, Celebesol, 6 months ago.
Wow.
I made my mind go blank, and I said, whatever this guy says, I'm going to apply. And let me tell you something. I've done very well for myself. I've been a lawyer over 18 years. I have 4 offices in New York and New Jersey. My website, which is ymflaw.com, has all my credentials on it. My bio's on it, all my publications, all the precedent decisions I've won, all the bar committees nationally that I chair and make policy on a national level. I've reached that level of success, but
wow.
I never knew how to bring sales.
So what did it do for you? What did it do for you?
Well, what it did was it taught me, number one, like what you're saying today, is pay attention. It made me, number one, pay attention to my clients, pay attention to my clients' needs and listen to what their needs are.
But, man, you're a lawyer, man. You're a lawyer. You're not a salesman, dude.
Well, the truth is, before I picked up your book, I would never thought of myself as a salesman. Lawyers have this perception that we're pursuing an academic endeavor, that we're there to counsel people and give them, well-learned advice on what direction they should be going with their case or with their life. But what I finally realized after I read your book, and it was a cathartic moment.
Cathartic.
Was that, in fact, I am a salesman.
Yeah, you are.
I sell ideas.
Yeah, you are.
You're darn right I am. And
sounds like you're good at it, too, man.
Well, I think I am. In the last...
how much money, let me ask you, how much money have you made because of Celebesol?
Well, in the last 14 days, I've made $748,000.
Padow. You just got my attention, son.
That's right,
God.
because I have a methodology that applies to Grant Cardone method of closing clients. I do it ethically and within the disciplinary rules that the various bar associations statewide restrict us, in which we can advertise in the way that we can solicit business and actually get clients to close with us.
There's been a tremendous amount of oppression put on lawyers to actually let people know what they do. Folks, you're listening to Grant Cardone on Cardone Zone. Ray Fasano called in from New York, and he's telling you, pay attention. Never look at just one piece of data. That's why he says when he started reading Celebesol, he went blank with his mind and said, look, I need some new data. I'm willing to fill up. Now, this is a lawyer. This guy's a lawyer, okay? He never saw himself as a salesperson. And now this book helped him. I don't think it took credit for the $748,000 in total, but it sounds like it helped you, right?
Not only did it help me, it completely changed my practice. It helped my clients because I'm useless unless a client closes with me, Grant, I'm useless to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless a client can hire me, I'm no good.
Right,
I'm nothing.
Right. You can't help
him.
him.
Once he hires me, now I can take action and help this guy out.
Ray, you're a great man, dude. You're a great man. I hope you let a lot of immigrants into the country, bro. I hope you take the ones that are illegal and make them legal. I appreciate you calling in, brother. Thanks for being on the show. Let's stay in touch. Maybe we should do some business together. I'd love to finally get some money from a lawyer rather than give it to a lawyer.
Thanks, Grant. It was a real pleasure.
Okay,
Thank
my friend.
you so much for letting me be on the show.
Have a great week. Folks, you've been listening to the Cardone Zone. Today, the message is this. Pay attention, okay? Pay attention. Regardless of how much freaking chaos there is in the world, the Alan Greenspans, the CNBC, the Super Bowls on this weekend, the car wreck, pay attention. Pay attention, okay? That means you had to pay attention all the other times, not just the time there was bad news. Now, when there is bad news, when something terrible happens, when that moment comes down, don't take a position. Look at all the data, all the information. Oh, wow, man. Twitter has less interaction with their users. Oh, they got a little problem because their messaging. People don't want to do that as much. They're not oh my God, income went up. Oh, 24.9 million people tweeted. Celebrities are using Twitter. You got endorsements. You got media companies. You got people looking at how many followers you have before they actually get an endorser. I'm just telling you, I don't need the media or an expert to tell me what I need to do. I have to make that decision myself. You have to figure out where you basically, you got to weave trouble. You got to find the place right in between and get in and out. It's going to have everything to do with the sales you make, how you grow your business, the investments you make, where you bring your kids to school. Look, just because the school is clean or just because they charge a lot of money doesn't mean that's the right place for your kids to get an education. Nor does it mean your kids should even get an education for that fact. I'm talking to you about your money. I'm talking to you about your finances. I want to help you, okay? Look, I started with nothing, zero. I started below that because I had lost at the age of 25, not just everything. I had lost belief in myself, and I don't want that to happen to you. Pay attention. Look at all the data. Re-educate yourself. I don't care if you can read or not read. Learn how to read. And be great. Be great because nothing else pays. Take that freaking plunge. Pull the trigger. It'll pay off. Thanks a lot and be great.
Don't let me get in my zone. Don't let me get in my zone. Don't let me get in my zone. I'm definitely in my zone.